Hi, this is Timothy Clibby, and this is my report on psychoanalysis. My first slide, title slide. What is psychoanalysis? Psychoanalysis is, as Freud conceived it, emphasized unconscious forces, biologically based drives of sex and aggression, and unavoidable conflicts in early childhood. These were considered the rulers and the shapers of our personality. But since Freud, many people have changed and modified and added new theories. In truth, psychoanalysis is the study of unconscious and of how it affects our behavior. Sigmund Shlomo Freud. I threw his middle name in there just because I thought it fit him. The early years, family and education. Freud came from a very large family of two half-brothers and 7 full-blood related siblings, of which he was the oldest of. He was his mom's favorite. She called him special, and he began to believe that he was special. He was the only child with his own room and an oil lamp in it so that he could do his studies. Sometimes his mom would bring up dinner to him so it wouldn't interrupt his studies. Freud was born in 1856 as Sigmund Shlomo Freud. He later then changed his name to Sigmund. In 1874, he enrolls in the Faculty of Medicine at University of Vienna. In 1881, he passes his medical examination. In 1884, Freud took interest in the drug cocaine. He thought that it eased his anxiety and that helped him work better. He thought the drug was so good, he started to give it to his friends and family members and gave it to his wife. He even started giving it to his patients. He gave it to one of his friends that was addicted to opiates. His friend eventually died, ended up being a cocaine addict. Freud was addicted to nicotine. It was said that he smoked 20 cigars a day. This ended up being a health problem for Freud. He had part of his jaw removed and lived the last 16 years of his life in agonizing pain. A visit with Chercott. Freud's visit with Chercott was an eye-opening visit. Chercott said that hysteria is triggered by disassociated ideas and that it wasn't just confined to females. Freud went back to Vienna and presented his paper on Chercott's views. It wasn't very well received. Freud said it was because his ideas were too radical, but truth of the matter is the medical profession had already known that men were susceptible to hysteria as well. Freud's dad dies and he comes up with the Oedipus complex. The Oedipus complex is when a boy is in love with his mother and wants his father to be gone. Freud's theory on the personality is the id, the ego, and the superego. The id, the ego, and the superego. The id operates according to pleasure principle. The ego is responsible for directing and controlling instincts according to the reality principle. The superego is the moral aspect of the personality. So basically, the id or the ego is always trying to satisfy the id, and the superego is trying to take away those satisfactions. Here's a picture of Freud's iceberg displaying the ego, the superego, and the id, and giving a visual to it. Psychosexual stages. Oral is from birth to age 1, and that is spitting out or sucking in. Anal is from age 1 to 3, which is toilet training. Defecation gives a sense of satisfaction. The phallic stage is from 4 to 5, and the final stage is genital, which goes from adolescence to adulthood, and that's sexual encounters and adult relationships and things of the such. A few more theories Freud had: castration anxiety and penis envy. Castration anxiety is when a boy is afraid his penis is going to be cut off, and penis envy is every little girl is envious of boys because they have penises, and girls want to have their own penis. Our next theorist is Carl Jung. Jung in the early years, family and school. Jung was close to his father but found him to be weak, and Jung needed a strong father figure. His mom had her own issues. She would be happy and singing one moment, the next moment she'd be mumbling incoherently and staring out the window. Jung was ashamed of his mom, and for that reason was turned off of women for quite some time. Jung described his mom as fat and unattractive, which could be the reason that Jung rejected Freud's idea that every little boy is in love with his mother. Jung studied medicine at the University of Basel, specializing in psychology. Jung then married a very prominent woman who was very well off. Jung lived a life of leisure and gave lectures at the University of Zurich and started an independent practice. Some of Jung's theories. The libido is a generalized form of psychic energy. The psyche is Jung's term for personality. The opposition principle, conflict between opposing processes or their tendencies, is necessary to generate psychic energy. The equivalency principle, the continuing redistribution of energy in the personality. So basically, if one part of the personality's energy starts to go down, that energy is transferred to another part of the personality. Jung also coined the term extroversion and introversion. Jung's work with Nietzsche and dream analysis won him an international reputation. Our next theorist is Karen Horney. Horney brought women to the forefront in psychology and thought that Freud's views were sexist. Horney's early years. Karen was born a second child that grew up near Hamburg, Germany. She was always jealous of her brother Brent. She was jealous of his good looks. She was jealous that thought that her mom and dad loved him more. She was jealous that he could stand up and pee by a tree, which proves Freud's theory of penis envy, at least with Karen Horney is concerned. She was always better at school than Brent, which gave her a great sense of pride. Her mom made it clear to her that she wanted to see her dad dead. Karen longed for her father's love and acceptance, but he was a cruel man that always made crude comments about her smarts and her good looks, and her bad looks. She decided since she couldn't be pretty, she was going to be smart and dedicated her life to schoolwork. She wanted to become a doctor, but it was still considered a man's profession. Few women were in the field at the time. Looking for love in all the wrong places. Karen's first love lasted 2 days. Uh, the next man she encountered brought out 76 pages of their relationship in a diary. She said that when she felt love, her anxiety and insecurities went away. Karen definitely had daddy issues. Karen met two men in college, fell in love with one, and married the other, Oscar Horney, who later became a prominent businessman. Karen excelled in school and earned her degree from the University of Berlin in 1913. Karen went to Carl Abraham for psychoanalysis. Carl Abraham was a loyal Freudian psychoanalyst. He said that her opiate complex came from her father's strong personality, and Karen disagreed with everything and ran out of there and left her handbag behind. She then turned to self analysis, which she did for the rest of her life. Self analysis, she was influenced by Adler. She was particularly sensitive to his remarks on how physical and attractiveness leads to inferiority feelings. Sex and medical success made her more like a man in her eyes. Some of Horney's theories. Safety need, basic anxiety, neurotic needs, neurotic trends, and womb envy. Safety need. This is the infants in infants. It's a higher level of need for security and freedom from fear. Basic anxiety, a pervasive feeling of loneliness and helplessness, the foundation of neurosis. Neurotic needs. 10 irrational defenses against anxiety. 1. Affection and approval. 2. A dominant partner. 3. Power. 4. Exploitation. 5. Prestige. 6. Admiration. 7. Achievement or ambition. 8. Self-sufficiency. 9. Perfection. And 10. Narrow limits to life. Neurotic trends. Compliant personality moving towards others, or an aggressive personality moving against others, or a detached personality moving away from others. Womb envy in boys, the envy of wanting breasts or being able to give birth to a child. She also said that every human being has bisexual dispositions, which makes me think of the Bible verse Romans 1:26 through 27. For this reason, God gave them up to be dishonorable passions. For their women exchanged natural relationships for those that are contrary to nature, and the men likewise gave up natural relations with the women and were consumed with passion for one another, men committing shameless acts with men and receiving in themselves the due penalty for their errors. In closing, I would like to say that psychoanalysis has brought forth some interesting ideas and very interesting characters. It opened the door for the subconscious to be in the realm of psychology. And here's my reference page. Thank you so much for the class, and I enjoyed doing the presentation in the paper, and I really enjoyed having you as a professor, Dr. Vick. God bless.